So by now, I'm sure you all have somewhat hopped on the Valorant hype train, but if you haven't, today I'm the conductor and I'm going to try to get you to hop on. The other day on March 2nd, Riot lifted the embargo that they had with game journalists who tested Valorant in the months past. Because of this embargo lifting, we got a bunch of new info and gameplay footage of Valorant, and today we're going to dive into it and nitpick all the details. So thanks for clicking on this video, guys. My name is Iridium, and let's get right into this new gameplay. So if you guys have not seen already, the popular FPS related YouTube channel HitScan released a 20-minute video talking about their experience playing Valorant, and included in the video are 2 full gameplay rounds from different players' perspectives. Today I'm just going to go through and nitpick those rounds and talk about the guns, abilities, agents, and map play. But if you guys want to see the whole video in its entirety on HitScan's channel, I'll make sure to link it below. So without any further ado, let's get right into this analysis. So right off the bat here in the start of the round, we can see Viper, who is using her signature ability, which is called Toxic Screen. Basically, with this ability, you can bring out this wall, which you can bring up and down throughout the whole entire round as long as you have the fuel to do it. And you can see the fuel at the bottom middle of the screen. So now let's take a second and pause and look at this map. We can see that there's 3 bomb sites, which is really cool and interesting. This will make for some interesting strategies on how you split your team up throughout the whole map. You can see a ton of different little lanes and corridors that you can go down and play through. Also, that blue line that you see going across diagonally is actually the toxic screen that we saw Viper lay down earlier. And I believe when it is green, that means the wall is up, and when it's blue, the wall is down. That red dot with the yellow circle around it is actually another ability specific to a certain character, which we will get to later. Those 2 abilities that we can see blocking the corridor there are actually Brimstone's signature ability, Sky Smoke, and Sage's Barrier Orb. Brimstone's ability is actually very cool, and we will dive into it a little more later once we can see a better clip of it being used. Moving on a little bit more into the round, we can see this revolver going to work actually. The name for it is called the Sheriff, and it's essentially the Deagle from Counter-Strike. Something cool that I did notice here in the kill feed is actually the little kill counter. Next to your name in the kill feed, you can see Roman numerals for how many kills you've gotten that specific round. So in this case, Viper got 4, and there's a little IV next to her name in the kill feed showing that she did get a 4K that round. So moving on, we're going to be looking at the same exact round, but just from a different perspective, which is going to be the agent called Phoenix. But before we even get into Phoenix specifically, I want you guys to take a look at this blue force field that's going on. Kind of like Overwatch, where you're blocked off for a certain amount of time during the round, or like Siege in the same sense. What this is, if you look at the top middle of the screen, it says buy phase. This is just a little bit of time before the round starts where you can buy weapons or get to your specific lanes or part of the map that you're going to be playing for that specific round. Once the barrier drops, we can see Phoenix using his Hot Hands ability, which is basically just a Molotov from Counter-Strike, except it does damage to enemies and heals you if you stand in it. So no 1G'ing here, boys. The weapon Phoenix is using right now is called the Frenzy, and it's equivalent to the CZ in Counter-Strike. We'll take a look at the buy menu a little later in the video, but right now I just want to focus on these specific rounds. So now again on the map, we can see that dot with the yellow circle around it, and we can see it on the ground as well. I believe this is Sova's signature ability, which is called Recon Bolt. It's essentially just a sonar emitter that you can fire down, and it will ping nearby enemies. So once Phoenix dies, over on the right side of the screen, we can see the combat report. If we look at it a little more, we can see the amount of damage that Phoenix did to the opponents and how much damage came in from the opponents, no matter how many shot him. We can see exactly where Phoenix was hit and where he hit the opponents. So taking a look at this round one final time from the enemy team's perspective, we have another Phoenix here. Something I also want to point out, if you guys have not caught on already, is that each one of these different perspectives has had a different crosshair, which means we can all customize our crosshairs. And also, if you haven't noticed, each of their maps has been a little bit different in size, which means that we will also be able to customize that as well. So if you guys notice that little orb on the ground, essentially that is just an ultimate point. If we look at the bottom of Phoenix's HUD here, we can see a bunch of little diamonds on the W key. Obviously, you can change this key to whatever you want, but basically, as far as I understand, every kill that you get and every orb that you get will fill up those points a little bit more, and once you have them all full, then you can use your ultimate. As we can see here, once Phoenix rounds the corner and gets a kill, we can see those ticks down by the ultimate key fill up by 1. So if we take it back a little bit and look on the left side of the screen here, we can see Brimstone going on his little computer on his wrist and using his Sky Smoke that we talked about earlier. And right here we can see that smoke from the other team's perspective, which we saw from Viper's view earlier. And the reason that this is so cool and so useful is that you can use this wherever you are. You don't have to be directly looking at the corridor or whatever angle you want to smoke off. You just go onto your computer, look at the map, and then pop it down. So moving on to the second round of gameplay here, we can see this point of view from Jet. Once again, we can see that Sky Smoke coming down from Brimstone to block off the entrance to this bomb site right here. Once her teammates call out that the opponents are going to the A site here, we can see Jet use her dash ability, which is called Tailwind. Once she enters the site, we can see her throw 2 of her Cloud Burst abilities, which are essentially just smoke grenades that will deploy wherever they land. So we can see when Jet shoots here that if you are hip firing with a specific gun, it will be a fully automatic rifle, and if you are ADS, it'll be a burst rifle. Once the player of Jet dies, we can see him spectating his teammate Sage. From her perspective, she's going to be using the Dmr Weapon, which is called the Guardian. And again, that ping that we're seeing through the wall there is from Sova's Recon Bolt. So moving on again to the same exact round, except from Jet's perspective on the other team, we're looking at that buy phase again until the barrier drops. At the end of this corridor, we can see another one of those ultimate orbs. And that healing buff that you're seeing going on is from Sage's healing orb. Once again, we can see another cloud burst smoke coming out from Jet to smoke off that top window. And then she proceeds to die. Taking a look at the final perspective of gameplay we have here in this video is from Sage. Just like we saw in the beginning of the Jet clip, we can see Sage throwing down that healing orb, which lasts for a few seconds, and we can see the cooldown timer at the bottom of Sage's HUD here. And then just before she's shot, we can see her placing down her barrier orb. So now that we've gone through all those rounds, I actually want to take a closer look at the buy menu. And I'm taking this screenshot from the official video that Riot uploaded to their Valorant YouTube channel. If you guys want me to analyze that one as well, make sure to let me know in the comments below. This buy menu isn't too excessive, which is great. Over on the left side, we can see the player's amount of money, and this is well into the game, so that's why he has so much. He can buy basically anything he wants here. But on the left side of the guns, we have the pistols, including the Sheriff and the Frenzy, which we saw earlier. Also at the end of that Sage clip, we can see here using the Ghost, I believe. And then we have our 2 SMGs, which one is most likely going to be a UMP and the other is going to be like an MP5, MP9 kind of weapon. The Stinger and the Spectre. We have 2 shotguns. We have an auto shotty and a pump shotgun, Bucky and Judge. And then we have 4 rifles. And I'm pretty sure the only ones we saw people using in this video were the Vandal and the Guardian. The Vandal being the one where if you're hip firing, it is a fully automatic weapon. And then if you're ADS, it is a burst weapon. For all I know, the other ARs could do that as well. But from what we've seen, that's what the Vandal does. Over on the top right, we have our 2 snipers, the Marshal and the Operator, which is kind of funny that they said Operator because you can now shorten it to say Op. Let me get an Op. And then the Marshal is most likely going to be your Scout if you guys are Counter-Strike players. And then we have 2 LMGs, which are most likely going to be like the Negev and the M249 from Counter-Strike. And then on the right side of the purchasable items, we have 2 shields. The light shield is going to give you 25 shield, and then the heavy shield is going to give you 50, bringing you to a total of 150 health. Versus 125 health on the light shield. And then we have all the purchasable abilities at the bottom of the buy menu here. We have 4 of them. This player has 3, including Blaze, Curveball, and Hot Hands. And then all the way over on the right is his ultimate, which he needs 1 more point for, as you guys can see. I can do another video explaining all the characters and their ultimates and abilities. If you guys like, just let me know in the comments below as well. Over on the right side of the whole screen, we can see specific details about the weapon that you're hovering over. Right now, the last weapon he was hovering over, I guess, was the Frenzy. We can see the firing modes, the damage, magazine capacity, and wall penetration, which is insanely helpful. Alright guys, well that's going to do it for this video. I hope many more of you hopped on the Valorant hype train after watching this, and I hope you learned something that you didn't know about the game thus far. If there's anything I missed during this analysis, please make sure to let me know in the comments below. And also, if there's anything pertaining to Valorant that you'd like me to make a video about, maybe character-specific videos or something like that, make sure to let me know in the comments as well. As always, feel free to leave a like for the YouTube algorithm, and on that note, ta-ta for now.